Fasten your seatbelt. It's going to be a bumpy ride.
Chrissie is hilarious.
Chrissie, have you ever heard of the comedian Basha K. Ali?
No, that sounds like something you yell at before you blow up a plane.
Basha K. Ali!
30 seconds remaining.
But you know what, good thing to say, I dabbled in stand-up or something. I have no disrespect for you at all.
I was very confused by the title, Everything Everywhere All at Once, because that's also what we call it when Ash takes off his shirt. I shouldn't be up here. I should be in school on the other side of the ocean.
Oh, welcome to another episode of the Chrissie Mayr podcast. We're on iTunes, YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, Rumble, Rockfin. We're everywhere. Who is calling me from Garden City? The nerve. It's probably spam. Yes, before I bring in my fabulous guest, I have a couple of gigs to promote. This Saturday, guys, I will be making my return to glamorous New Jersey. I'll be at Tiff's Ale House this Saturday, July 8th. That's in Morris Plains. Get your tickets now. Go to my website, ChrissieMayr.com. And then I'll be in Houston next month for Anime Matsuri. It's a wonderful convention where people dress up. They do cosplay. There'll be lots of YouTubers there. And I'll be headlining that same weekend in Houston, Friday, August 11th at the Secret Group. My adorable pint-sized friend Lila Hart will be opening for me at the Secret Group in Houston, and Keanu Thompson will be opening for me this Saturday at Tiff's Ale House in Morris Plains, New Jersey. So come on out. Hope to see you guys there. It'll be a blast. Yes. Okay. I'm so excited to have this guy back on the podcast because the circumstances around the last time I had him on are pretty hilarious and embarrassing for me personally. So without further ado, welcome back to the Chrissie Mayr podcast, the hilarious, the legendary comedian, Jackie the Joke Man Martling. Hello, Jackie.
Hello. Thank you for having me on. And I will tell you that I thought that you guys were pimping me. I thought that whole thing where I got to go throw up and you had to go look for a place to hide behind. I was sure they were going to come out and say, "Smile, you're on candid camera." When I realized, holy Christmas, she's really puking. I thought that was wonderful. It was the first for me.
Okay, so like I have to give you guys some context for this because this was back in 2020. This was right before or right as I guess the pandemic was popping off. So I think I had just got back from Mexico. It was the first time I had taken like a real kind of vacation with Frank, and we went to Mexico. We had it all inclusive. It was like a gorgeous, lovely vacation. Then on the way back, we're at the Mexican airport. He eats ramen. I have a bite of his ramen. We end up both sick as dogs for the next week. But I was like, I had this interview with Jackie scheduled for right when I came back, and I was like, I'm really not feeling well, Frank. He's like, you should go do it. Don't bail on Jackie. Don't cancel on him. Like, he's a big deal. I'm like, all right, I'm not gonna cancel. So I go in, and the interview was in, I had it. There was an old conference area back in the the building where I used to have my day job in. So it was like this big kind of open atrium type area. And miraculously, we go about an hour. We do the whole interview. I remember I was sweating. I was like, I couldn't stop wiping, and I felt lightheaded, and I felt like hot and then cold. And then amazingly, I finished the interview. I'm like,
But I couldn't tell at all.
You couldn't tell at all?
You seemed fine. They seemed wrong. And then all of a sudden it was like, whoa. And if you were in Mexico, you got sick from the wrong end. I don't know what the hell you were eating.
I swear, I think we got, food poisoning from the ramen in the Cancun airport. But I was like, oh my God, Jackie, I really need to throw up. And I could not make it to a bathroom. I had to go behind like a wall. I had to go behind like a piece of art or something, like a sculpture. And I just booted. We're not talking like a tasteful little we're talking like splashy, a lot of water, like the entire contents of my stomach came up, and I was and am still mortified from that moment, because then I had to go find a security. I had to be like, can you just, Jackie, just don't go into that corner. Like, just promise me you won't go over there and wait right here. I had to go find a security guard that worked in this building and tell them, like, hi, I'm a grown woman. I just threw up in this corner behind a sculpture. Can you get someone to clean it up? And so I feel horrible about it. And we haven't spoken since until now.
You know, I mean, I don't look as good as I used to. Make women throw up, you know.
Oh my God, but so much has happened since then. I got married a couple weeks ago. Jackie has a documentary coming out about him. This is very exciting, and I haven't yet finished watching the whole documentary yet. I'm about a half hour in. I'm loving it so far. And before I play the trailer, if you want to set up, you know, what prompted this documentary, who approached you about it, whose idea was it, how did this come about?
It happened a couple different ways. People interested in doing it, and they kind of lit a fire, exciting to see what he put together, but it really wasn't the whole deal. The whole company got involved, but my radio partner in the car wasn't thrilled with the tag, and they were making me look like a big moron for leaving the Stern Show and omitting the part about me being a joke teller for 40 years, being a decent comedian, and then went on it. And it took a long time. I'll tell you how crazy it is that Artie Lange agreed in the documentary, and got to him. Artie wound screwing up, and he wound up in hospital and wound up in jail, and then wound up in rehab. And in the documentary, when Artie got out, Artie's one of the best things in the documentary. We didn't miss the window because it took so long. The pandemic slowed everything up. We're on hold at Netflix. Just Netflix fell apart. And then once distribution, it's another 6 months before the feast. It's been a long haul, but everybody seems to really love it. And I'm just hoping everybody will really like it. It's really fun. It's very flattering. You know, everybody's very nice.
Oh, you're being way too humble. You're a legendary joke teller, and in this documentary, everyone says the same thing, that Jackie, you're a joke savant. You have an incredible memory for jokes. There's no joke that somebody can tell that you haven't heard of. And I think you would have this thing where you'd call people on stage, and they would, you know, you'd see if they could stump you. And there was this part in the documentary where there's this line of people, and each of them are telling the first line of a joke, and you're immediately coming in and telling the next line or the punchline of the joke. And it's just amazing. Like, nobody can stump you. And I don't know if anyone has ever been able to stump you. Was there ever a time where you did that bit where someone told a joke you
Of course,
hadn't heard of?
Of course they have. And the thing is, that was, I don't do it that much anymore, but that was always the grand finale. I might get a bunch of girls on stage, and I would have the stand up and tell me the first line of a joke, and I'd finish it. And then I'd have all the girls do it. And it's such a no-lose proposition, because I know every joke for the most part, and the crowd goes nuts. But when somebody stumps me with a joke, I don't know, twice as crazy. So I can't lose. If I get every joke, I'm a winner. And then if somebody stumps me, they go nuts. So it's fun. You know, it's just really crazy fun.
Okay, good. I wonder, Jack, you were cutting out a little bit. I'm going to play the trailer to the documentary. Maybe see if you can leave and come back in, if that'll help your connection there. But I'm gonna play the trailer, and we'll see if because there was a little bit of tripping out. Yeah, you're clipping out a little bit. I don't know if it's your settings or what, but I'm going to play the. Yeah, make sure the Wi-Fi is on if you're using your phone. All right, let's play the trailer.
It's all set.
Okay,
It's all set.
All right, hopefully that'll stop. I'm gonna I'm gonna play the trailer. This is a 2-minute 30-second trailer. I'm gonna play it from YouTube. Okay, this is a fantastic trailer. Here we go.
Guy says to his wife, "Are you faking it last night?" She's now is really asleep.
I always say Jackie made the biggest blunder in show business history. He decided to enter it.
There's very few people like him.
Jackie is like the Forrest Gump of the comedy world.
How eclectic is Jackie Martling? He would hang out with Les Paul, the most famous guitarist in the world. Loved Jackie. Willie Nelson.
Good to see you. Look at us, 49 years old, both of us.
You know, Jackie was a gymnast when he was young. He was quite the athlete.
You ready for action? No. I mean,
oh.
For years, we all thought Howard was one of the quickest comics ever. And then you find out that's Jackie Martling.
it was amazing to watch him. He was 2 steps ahead of everybody. Joke, boom. Joke, boom.
When that cast of the Howard Stern show was in its prime, you couldn't stop. They were the best thing in entertainment.
I think that works. So many people say you made the worst move in show business ever. You know, my life, it was bad.
One of the saddest days that I can remember on the Stern Show was the day Jackie left. Jackie made a big mistake, and I tried to talk him out of it.
Oh, I think Jackie left because he was trying to get more money, which he should have.
Within an 8-week period, he was off the show. Our marriage split up, and he stopped drinking.
If people understand or don't understand, I really don't care.
To watch Jackie walk up to the microphone, it's like watching Babe Ruth leave the on-deck circle.
What he does is not credited nearly enough for what it really is.
So the Sunday school teacher says, "Can anybody tell me what the resurrection is?" And the little Johnny in the back says, "I don't know what it is. I just know if it lasts more than 4 hours, you got to go to the hospital." My 6th grade report card, Mrs. Devine wrote, "Jackie's an excellent student, but sometimes he has fun at the expense of others." I'm like, God, that's just sick.
Oh my gosh. What a great documentary. And this documentary comes out. I'm going to go to back to the website here. I'm going to go back to the web. So Jackie is coming back on. Go to jokemanmovie.com. It's premiering on most platforms on July 18th, which is, oh my God, that's coming up. That's in less than 2 weeks. So I think you can watch it just about anywhere. Let's see if Jackie's back here. Hello, Jackie.
I am here.
Okay, you sound great. You sound great. This trailer is wonderful. Tell me about the process of, is it weird to make a documentary about yourself? Is part of it like strange? You're like, I'm still alive. What?
Well, that part is strange. But yeah, that was one of the things that was taking so long. I told Ian Carr, my partner, and the producer, actor, I said, my one request is this thing comes out before I die. But I mean, I didn't really take part. I mean, I was obviously when I'm sitting there with Willie Nelson, I'm involved. But all the interviews, like with Mark Cuban and Penn Jillette, and all the people, I was never there. When to my family. You know, I had nothing to do with it. You know, I gave them pictures, and I talked one talk and sat with a few people, you know, with me and with a bunch of people around my dining room table. But for the most part, and Ian followed me around with a camera a few times. I mean, stuff that isn't in there. I mean, we had enough to make a a damn cable serial. You know, there's just there's so much garbage and so much garbage in my life, just so much, you know. And it's what's hard to do. It's hard to watch because I don't know if you're ever in a movie, the time when you're going to be on the screen, it's always like it's a little bit of douche chills. It's like, ooh, you know, like it's got nothing to do with ego or being humble. It's just weird to see yourself up there. So to see a documentary about you, it's like, yeah. You're embarrassed if they laugh. You're embarrassed if they don't. You're embarrassed. It sucks if they don't. You know, it's a no-win situation. But I'm thrilled that it's out and done, and the response is over the moon. So knock on wood. I hope people like it.
Wow. How long did it take? How many months did it take to get all this footage? And then, you know, how long did it take for them to edit it all together?
Oh, it took years to assemble, you know, to put everything, just to scan all the pictures I had through everything. And then you wind up chopping out 90%. I don't know. It was such a task I had, you know, just to make the trailer out of the documentary. I'm sure crazy task, you know. So it took a long time, a lot of man hours. And I mean, I wasn't looking over anybody's shows. Jackie, here's what we got so far. And I just loved all of it, you know.
And can you tell me again, you might have been cutting out before,
That's
like
simple.
who approached you about making this documentary? Like who is producing this?
I had a radio show on Howard 101 for 8 years, and my partner on my radio show was Ian Carr. Company's IA Collective, and they're, you know, a video, you know, a media production company, and they're real good. And we were partners, radio partners, years, and we did, you know, a solid hour of filthy jokes, 1 hour a week for 8 years. We did 402 shows, and you know, we're very good friends from the Friars Club. I mean, the night I met him, after 5 minutes, he said, "Boy, you are nothing like the way you're portrayed on that Stern show. You're a completely different human being." I said, "Well, you know, Howard has his buttons and he has fun with them." And we're real friends. And then he decided he didn't like the way they did it on this documentary. He just took the reins and he produced the documentary and did what he had to do and filmed, you know, and sent crews. He did everything. He's just really great. I can't talk enough about him. Wonderful, wonderful guy. Him and Russ, they did everything. His partner, like his side guy, who's as crazy as I am. So it was just labor of love. More labor than mine. I had the labor.
Yeah, you're like, I had the easy part. Did you feel like that was a big factor in wanting to do this documentary, is because you felt so misunderstood from your time at the Stern show?
No. There was no, you might like a score sling. No, I love the idea of people knowing. I do like people and how much I contributed to the show, but I like the idea of people knowing that the whole joke. I'm an oddball, a guy who tells jokes. They just don't exist anymore. I mean, Gilbert told jokes for years, and but he's gone. God bless him. I love him, and I've always been the joke guy, and people seem to enjoy it. And if it's going to get more people out to my shows again, you know, when I was doing stand-up shows during the Stern era, a lot of the people, they were coming out because I was on the Stern show. And so many people would come up and say, "Geez, I came here because I'm a Stern fan. I never expected you to actually be funny," which was kind of a left-handed compliment. Like, holy Christ, that's the hardest I'd have for an hour in my life. And I'm like, well, that's the nicest thing you could say, you know, and I like people hearing that, you know.
You just, like, it's so apparent, anybody who doesn't know you, but if they watch this documentary, that you just love comedy and you love jokes and you love spreading joy. Like, just the footage of you going back and forth to the post office and And I didn't realize like how much stuff you actually sent out to people, albums, books, like toys. You must have spent a fortune on all that stuff and on postage for people.
You have no idea. Today I mail. Time I do a podcast or an interview, I send my autobiography and the joke book. I'm really appreciative. I did it when I had nothing. I did it when I had so much, and now I do it again. When I started, I produced my own comedy album in 1979 with money I borrowed, and then produced. And talking about albums, like 3 1/3 LPs in the jackets. And by 1992, I had 3 LPs, sets to match, and my ex-wife Nancy and you wouldn't believe how many packages, albums and cassettes and promotion and postage and man hours. We sent out hundreds and hundreds. One of those packages of 3 albums I sent to this guy that I heard about in Washington, D.C. I sent him blindly to this guy, Howard Stern. And he called up and said, "It was great. Why don't you join us on the air?" And that was that. Boom.
Do you feel like you just got lucky?
Amazing.
I mean, I think that seemed to be a through line, is that you are persistent. You've constantly over your career asked for what you've wanted. You've been very determined. It seems like you haven't let failure really slow you down. Like you're like, it seems like you have just kind of like a why not attitude. Like, why not send jokes to Rodney Dangerfield? Like, why not, try to get on Stern?
I'll tell you, luck favors the prepared. I wrote to this guy in the mid-70s who was in France, who was like the world's greatest joke collector, and we became pen pals. And I wanted to send, I had jokes. A friend who said he knew Rodney, so I typed up these jokes and said, "Give these to Rodney." He said, "I lied. I don't know Rodney." So I mailed them to Rodney. Why not? And 2 days later, he called me up. He goes, "Hello, who is this?"
Wow.
I said, "Rodney Hughes. I knew you were fucking funny. I knew you were funny." I didn't know who Howard Stern was. I was in Washington, D.C. doing stand-up, and they said this guy got hired, and he's going to NBC. You should look him up because he's crazy. So I went home, and me and Nancy sent a set of the albums to this guy at NBC. It's just, you could say it's luck because there's every chance he ever opened the package in the garbage. But if you send out hundreds of packages, somebody somewhere is going to open up something,
Yeah, and you're doing all this before.
Yes, but
yeah, you're doing this all before social media. So you're basically every package you sent out was how you had to promote yourself.
Jackie. Every mailing. We're talking hand stamps and
Who, Jackie, in the documentary, there were so many interesting people who are in it. Penn Jillette, both Opie and Anthony are featured in this documentary, which is kind of incredible because for anyone who's familiar with the Opie and Anthony show, Opie and Anthony Cumia now don't get along at all. And it's amazing that they both are in this documentary. I just think that's remarkable. I'm sure they had to be recorded at different times and places, but I was pleasantly surprised to see them both featured in it.
I count Opie and Anthony as 2 very good friends. I think I knew them before they were Opie and Anthony. Like Anthony came on the Stern Show and won the Jackie Martling lookalike or sound like, whatever it was. And I love those guys, and we've always been good to each other. It's really funny. The Young Rascals, I'm really good friends with Gene Cornish, the guitar player. I'm really good friends with Felix, the organ player. And really good friends with Eddie Brigatti, the lead singer. 3 guys, you can't put them in the same room. They'll kill each other. But individually, I'm friends with each of them. I'm like equal opportunity. I'm just a fun guy. So what's not to like? I don't got no axe to grind. You know what I'm saying?
Who were you most excited to see give their time and be featured in this documentary?
Well, of course, Willie Nelson. He's such a good guy. We've been friends now, I guess, for 20 years. And, I knew he would do anything, but I wasn't surprised that he did, but I'm thrilled. But I was thrilled. Cuban gave us a piece of tape. Penn Jillette could not have been more generous. Everybody was so nice. It wasn't one person that was way more exciting than another. I just love the way popping up and it's so eclectic. Penn Jillette and Willie Nelson and Mark, to see them three in the same room, But I just love it.
And as far as the folks that you worked with from Stern, and I haven't watched the full documentary yet, I'm still about like halfway through, but did Howard or Gary or Robin or Fred happen to appear anywhere in this documentary? Did they get them in there?
None of them appeared. I, of course, approached them. And, Howard cuts a tone. And I don't even know, I asked him point blank. I knew he wouldn't. He'll say, if not, in retrospect, he'll probably say, well, he never asked me, but he never would have done it. I think Fred responded and said, listen, I'd really love to do it, but I can't, which kind of says it all, but there's nothing mean. And all it does is the tale of what happened. I wrote a lot of notes and made Howard very funny. And that's the absolute truth. That's what happened. And it's just nice to have that, a lot of people like, whoa, I didn't know that, so that's fun, but it's not mean.
No. Why don't you think Fred, why do you think Fred said, I would, but I can't? What do you think he meant by that?
I think it's a small bubble. I'm not gonna venture into that territory. But he always, and I still consider him. I haven't seen him forever. I still consider him a very close friend. We were, we shared a brain for 15 years. We were allies, and there was nothing like when me and Fred worked on a song parody. I always thought we were Lennon and McCartney, and so did he. It was, when I first coined and said we're the Beatles of radio, they made mention and it's Howard, because he never considered us the Beatles. He was Howard, and the rest of us were kind of besides point, which is absolutely not true, But he's 99 of it. He's just not 100% of it. That was the point I always made, deal. But it's certainly, like Dorothy had a wonderful movie, but it certainly helped to have those other idiots walking alongside her,
Right. Which one of you is Toto? Oh, we got a super chat from Ross Dogs. Give Rodney a chance.
I don't know.
I don't know what that means, but thank you. Sometimes we get a super chat. It's very exciting. Jackie, you have a very...
He knows what it means. I know exactly what it means.
Oh, do you know what that meant?
Of course.
Okay.
It's a very, very... it's a classic joke that there's no way I could share it. If anybody wants to hear it, email me, jokeland@aol.com, and I'm glad to send you a copy.
Oh, okay.
I answer all my email, jokeland@aol.com. And people freak out. People write from England, said, I heard you answer your own email. I don't believe it. And I write back. It's fun. I get a kick. I got so many fans that weren't even born when I left. They listen to the show and then they go back and hear the shows from the 90s and they're like, wow, that's some funny stuff, And it was.
Oh, definitely. Jackie, was there any part that you can remember of the documentary that was cut out that you wish, wasn't cut out, or anything that like maybe you wish they had kept in?
No, anything that was cut was for length. It's like, I think it's an hour and 20 minutes or an hour and 15 minutes. So that was up to Ian and Ronnie to decide, but there was nothing that I said, no, that's got to stay. That's got to stay. None of that. Because, I like it all, and all the stories are fun. I wrote an autobiography, and I wrote twice as much as I needed. I have a whole second book in my computer. So if somebody writes an email and says, man, I really loved your autobiography, I say, well, sit still. And I send them back a whole nother book with all the chapters. And they write back and say, these chapters are better than the book. I said, well, I never got into do the whole, publish it yourself thing. I just never did that. I know it's easy, but I just didn't do it,
Yeah, that seems like a pain in the ass for sure. Oh, thank you, Marshall Beaupre, for the super chat. Baba Booey, Howard Stern's penis. Great. Thank you, Marshall. Thank you. And
that's par course. That's
yeah. For Russell Hall, email your D pics to Jackie the Joke Man Martling. No, I don't think that's what he meant, Russell. I don't think he will not read.
No, I'd love to see them.
Said, you know what? Send them.
I'd love to see everybody's penis.
Yeah, print them out, hang them on the fridge.
Penis.
Jackie, you have a super impressive.
No, I do that with mine, but
Jackie has an awesome joke dictionary, and I think there's some people in the chat who maybe are not even sure if this interview is live or not. But to prove, of course, that we are live, I'm going to ask the viewers in the chat if they want to throw out a subject or a topic out there, and maybe Jackie can pull a joke from his joke savant brain. So just throw a topic in the chat, Jackie. And if you can see the chat, and if you see a topic that you like, maybe you can impress our listeners with a joke from your dictionary. Let's see. Can you see the chat, Jackie?
Am I supposed to see the chat? I don't see nothing.
You don't see the chat? Can you click on?
Just tell me if there's
Okay. Okay, let's see. We see people are throwing out subjects. Someone said Princess Diana. Someone said Joe Biden. Someone said Dylan Mulvaney. Retarded
we're not
rainbows.
doing Princess Diana. Okay, I'm not doing retarded jokes. I'm not doing anything political. I'm not doing dead Princess Diana.
Okay.
Yeah,
Hot
these
dog.
are a nice frame.
Okay. What about?
I can tell you a hot dog joke.
Okay, let's go. Let's do a nice hot dog joke.
So a guy goes on Jeanette and he orders a hamburger and a hot dog. And a few minutes later, the waitress comes down, puts a plate in front of him with an empty hamburger bun and a dog bun. And she reaches under her armpit and takes out a hamburger and puts it on the bun. And he says, Jesus Christ, what was that all about? She says, I was just keeping it warm for you. And he said,
Oh my God, did I miss it? Wait, did you cut out? Shit. I think I missed the punchline. So he just said he's keeping it warm for you. Oh my God. All right. The internet is killing me today. Okay. Jackie, have you ever been...
If you want to email me, jokeland@aol.com.
Okay. Yes. Everyone should take him up on that and email him at jokeland@aol.com. I think the internet cut out on the punchline, which is so classic and just my luck. Jackie, have you ever in all of your years, has anyone ever tried to like cancel you for a joke?
No. I've
No?
been doing
Wow.
the same garbage since the 70s. If anybody comes to see me and they can't tell that all I'm going to do is make people laugh, I don't go foul. I don't go political. Everything is poop and sex and, a little bit of Jewish jokes, a little bit of black jokes. But, black people jokes and the Jews are laughing at the Italian jokes. It's all gentle stuff, And I'm sure there'll be people that have a threshold where that's offensive. Then go to fuck home. Don't come to my show. I'm telling dick jokes and we're here to laugh for an hour. Take your problems to church on Sunday. That's what my friend Butch used to say. Don't tell me your problems. Take them to church on Sunday.
Do you think that is part of why you try to avoid, politics? Is like you're trying not to offend the majority of people, or just trying to keep yourself a little safer?
Fuck being offensive. If it's like saying I'm a Yankee fan, you lose the Met fans. You say I'm for this guy. You're a Republican, you lose that Democrat. You say Democrats, you lose Republicans, or else fuck that. Everything is politics everywhere. And everybody's complained about. That's not the club. Come to the comedy club and laugh, so you can get your yayas out, and then you can go home and watch TV. It's a choice. The choice is not to prevent people from getting angry. The choice is for the laughter. Why would somebody laugh at the expense of somebody else? I don't care about their expense. I'm just at the expense of them not laughing. I want everybody to laugh. I want everybody to be happy. You know what I mean? It's that simple.
When did you start to notice like the culture change a little bit to being kind of more of a popular thing for folks to be offended and then try to get attention for just being offended at jokes or just really anything? Like when did you start to notice that?
I never did.
Okay.
I never noticed because number one, I'm not working week to week to week. I do shows and I go out and do shows, and I have people that have been coming to see me for 40 years. I have people coming to see me who are bringing their kids that and that were raised on the Stern Show and listen to my dirty jobs. And my audience is like gotten older and older. But same people are the same kind of people. So it's not like I'm telling these dirty jokes that are like take a shot at women or where somebody's going, oh, it like on wood. But firstly, for me, it doesn't happen. Now I'm not selling out 3,000 arenas. I'm selling out 100 seats here and 500 seats there. But I'm happy with what I'm doing. If somebody says, "Oh, Jackie tells jokes about women," well, stay the fuck home. Please.
Yeah, and I think you've had a really amazing, impressive career. I think any comedian would kill to have your career and still be, performing. All these years later. A lot of comics, they burn out, they quietly just quit. So I think you have just so much to be just incredibly proud of. And I like that your fans kind of have been following you over the decades and then introducing you, bringing their kids and just to keep it going. That's why I'm really excited about this documentary coming out. I think it's like for all ages. I think anybody, even if I think a 12-year-old would find this, would find you funny. And I think somebody who's like 80 years old would enjoy it. So I think it's really going to be a hit.
Right.
Do you know
when I use the word, when I heard fan, it's not really a fair thing because it's not like people have followed me for like somebody will come to the show and say, this is the first time I've seen you in 30 years. I'm like, where the fuck have you been? People know me. If you've been watching me for years, if you come once a year, you've already heard me 4 times. And that's plenty. So it's not like people are hanging with me, but they do circle back and come back, and I love that.
Yeah, I would be amazed if I had somebody come and see me 30 years later. That's not a lot of comedians can say that. Do you know, Jackie,
You know,
where?
a guy,
Wait, sorry. What were you saying?
a guy came to one of my gigs about 2 years ago, and he had my comedy album, Owen Ape, an actual LP. And it said, Sal, congratulations. Because I was at Chuckles in like 1981, and it's his bachelor party. So I gave him a free record and I autographed it to him. And he came to my show and said, look at this. You gave this to me at Chuckles in 1980 at my bachelor party. And he points behind him and he said, these are my sons. And he ends. And they were all in their 30s. I was like, whoa, now there's a time, wow, you know, there's a time jump, you know. It was, I thought it was so cool, you know.
No, that's amazing. Jackie, do you know where the documentary is coming out? Is it, you know, like Amazon, or what streaming platforms, or where people can watch it?
It's going to be on iTunes, and then there's a whole list of platforms. It's available for pre-sale, and the link is on jokeland.com. It's also on the website that you have there, jokemovie.com. But my website is jokeland.com. And you can actually click on it. And I guess the way it works, you pay for the movie, or you give your credit card. And when it's released, that's when they charge you. I never did that before, but it's kind of fun. And I'm just hoping a lot of that's, you know, I've been promoting the hell. All you podcasters, interviewers, and radio people, so generous, because I've always been generous with my time. Like, I've always gone on radio shows and talked about anything and everything and told jokes and made the listeners happy. So, you know, so this is kind of all that work is coming home to roost with any luck, you know.
Yeah, this is great. I'm so excited to have it come out and to have people see it. We got a super chat from LARP Wars. Jackie is an absolute legend. I have to know, Jackie, how is it that piece of wood in the water you painted and hung out on? Do you understand this reference?
What happened was, in 1992, there was a nor'easter, and it destroyed so much, completely flooded, but a little piece of floated up on the shore. So painted it and put a light on it, and they fun of it, but the whole block, you know, a couple of blocks right here in Bayville, everybody swam out to it and had fun. And then that floated away. And the people that listen to the Stern Show know at one point it disappeared, and the Nassau County police boat went and found it. This is a whole thing. And it was referred to by everybody as the jetty. It was named the Jetty by Robin, which is so funny because everybody knows that African Americans aren't famous for swimming and enjoying the water. Is a pile of rocks going out into the water, called the stock a jetty, which is so funny. And then years later, she hired a guy to build a float. It was like 12 by 15, and he delivered it with a huge truck from Jersey. And this is actually on the YouTube. If you Google launching the jetty, it's like a 45-minute video, and a lot of the Stern crew is there. You see them backing it up, and we pushed the thing into the water, and that was called the jetty, and it had a ladder on it, and it was infamous for years and years and years, and it was so much fun. But then Sandy, the Hurricane Sandy, completely destroyed it in 2012 rather. So yeah, there's the video right there. So
oh my God,
you know, they had a huge truck and they backed it in, and it was I don't know, one of these just videotaped thing, and it was fun of me off, you know, 5 blocks either way, would swim out to the dock, and jump off it, you know, just like it was a terrific. There it is. You can see it.
So was this a new jetty that they created?
Right,
Was this a new one that they
Probably
made?
Doug Goodstein or Nancy hired a guy to build it. And if you want our heads to explode, nobody ever believes my story. Really funny is once the internet started happening, you could Google all my stories, and it turned out that they're all true. That float you're looking at right now was built by Springsteen's first manager, Carl Tinker West. And he's the guy who took Tinker and his band Steel Mill across the country and told him not to sign with Bill Graham. And then at some point, it's funny because the people on me, no, you know, he wasn't his first manager. That's not true. A guy named Mike. And then as the internet grew, you learn that Carl Tinker West, Springsteen was getting big, so he passed him to Mike Appel. And Tinker still, he was making surfboards in 1952. This guy, and he's still alive and kicking, and he's just one of the great characters of the world from New Jersey. And I just love that story. That's he designed it and built it and dragged it. I don't know what Nancy paid him, but you know, it was my Christmas present. It was fantastic.
Wow.
Look at that thing. It's huge.
How did they? I have a stupid question. How did they
it's
keep
hard
it
for
from?
me to tell who's who here.
How would they keep it from floating away? Like once they got it in.
Oh, what? Look, see that? You're looking at the anchor.
Okay, they anchored
that's
it.
Carl Tinker West right there. That huge anchor, a 250-pound, and and we put the anchor on the float and pushed the float out, and then threw the anchor off, then put the ladder on it. I got pictures. There's a beautiful picture on my Facebook. There's all kinds of pictures of the float. I mean, people just loved it, and the more they made fun of it, it was great because people, it was a source of conversation on the show, but it was also a wonderful thing. I used to swim out to that thing every night. That's the beautiful Long Island Sound. That's my fart, and that's Stamford, Connecticut. Over.
Oh wow!
I love that. That's on you. I didn't put it up there. I don't even know who put it up there.
Yeah, it came up when you search launching the jetty, it comes up right away. It says launching the jetty at Jackie Martling's beach.
I think it might be two parts. There's so much up there. It was so great.
Wow,
look, it's
that's
way
really
out there.
That's really cool. That's so impressive. I loved watching the a little bit of
when he's.
Oh, sorry. What'd you say, Jackie?
But those broke my balls in. Well, they broke my ball, Jackie and his stupid piece of wood. Which was a beautiful float in the entire town. That's just how. That's how I was painted.
Yeah.
Which is fine. It worked for the show.
No, that's a great story. From LARP Wars, Jackie made Robin funny. In all these years of Stern, the only time Robin was ever funny or appeared to have fun was when she was goofing on Jackie. Aw.
That's fun. I do. Do you do Cameo.com? Cameo.com is a thing where people hire you to do videos for them.
Mm-hmm.
Like if somebody said, I want to send Chrissie Mayr, I only charge $75 and say, hey, Chrissie, happy birthday, and maybe tell a dirty joke or insult you a little bit. And the other day, somebody actually in the Cameo asked me to read from Robin's book. Now, I don't know how much you paid attention to the Stern Show, but at some point, Robin came out with a autobiography, and we were stuck in the limo one day, and I just picked it up and started reading from it, and everybody went batshit.
Really?
So then I did that on the air for about a week, and people just went nuts because I would exaggerate her voice so much, and the more upset she got, the more I read. She didn't shed a tear when I left the show.
Oh, that's so funny. Well, yeah, people get your cameos from Jackie. Go to cameo.com. LARP words again. I can't get that song Cold Gold out of my head.
Email me, I'll send you a copy.
Aw.
That's a
Email
great
Jackie.
song that I wrote, you know. And everybody made a terrific beer drinking song, you know, which is what it was supposed to be when I wrote it, my band in the 70s, you know.
Awesome. From Johnny Mumbles, Jackie is truly a legend. What happened to the Jackie puppet?
People keep asking me that. I'm pretty sure it's in the studio, house studio at Sirius, but I don't know. I mean, if he never hears about that thing again, he'll be happy. I mean, there's a whole great chapter in my autobiography about how the thing got stolen, they thought. And they accused me of stealing it when I came back to Rock for an interview. And there was a whole huge thing that went on. And it's too long a story. But the bottom line is, after all the raucous accusations and being crappy to me, and what a low life that he'd come and steal a puppet after everything we did for him. I said, well, why don't we get a lie detector? We have a lie detector guy. We just have him ask everybody that works on the show, where's the puppet? And we'll find out. And the next morning, Howard showed up with the puppet.
Oh.
Nobody ever heard from that again. And that's the kind of crap that they'd pull on me. That's funny. I mean,
that is funny.
He made trouble for me, you know, because 90% of the assholes that listen to the show with the puppet, what a piece of shit Jackie's.
Yeah.
You know,
if only Howard was
Chrissie,
still
they
this
were
cool.
ready to come out in this. They were going to come out to my house in the Stern 100 news van, and they were all ready to come because I took a picture of the Jackie puppet and blew it up and mounted it on cardboard. So if I held it on my lap and you took a picture, it looked like I was holding the puppet. And I held up a copy of the New York Post that had the day's headlines on it, like a kidnap. And I said, all right, I got the puppet. Come get it. And they're on there. And I called up Steve Langford. And I said, you asshole, of course I don't have the puppet. Why don't you do a lie detector test? He said, what a bit. What a great idea. And he told Howard the idea. And the next morning, there was Howard with the Jackie
Wow.
puppet.
That's really
I just
funny.
think that tells such a tale. Harmless stuff.
Oh, definitely. It's hilarious. Larport says, I have the Jackie puppet locked in my basement with his little bong. He had a bong.
Yeah, now, when I first met him, he had a joint in his mouth. The guy who made it lives right down the street from me here. But this guy is obviously trying to make it sound like he listened to the show a lot, so he knows everything that happened. And I appreciate you, Lars, but so what?
Marshall Beaufrey asks, do you ever still talk to Scott, the engineer?
He almost came to my show. He lives down in Florida, and I had a show at the Palm Beach Kennel Club, which is a great place in West Palm Beach. And he was going to come to the show, but he didn't come to the show. And but I haven't really communicated with him. I know people are trying to get me to chime in on the whole thing where I guess when his wife was sick and everybody's yelling, scream at Howard because he's not paying money. I'm like, I've always stayed 5 arm lengths away from anything that was going on. Number one, I don't care. I mean, I don't care about his wife, but I don't care about all the ins and outs that were going on. And it's a no-lose situation because no matter what I say, it gets twisted. So I was just like, you know, have your fun. Really good guy. And I've always really good to him. And I helped plug his DJ business and everything. We were good to each other. He's a good guy.
Yeah, that's good. It's good to stay out of drama as much as you can. I thought it was so interesting in the documentary, Jackie, that there was footage of you doing gymnastics like on a hardwood floor, which I was shocked by because I did gymnastics in high school, and I'm from Long Island as well. And I just was like, I couldn't believe that you're doing like round of back handspring, back tuck on like a hard gym wooden floor. I can't believe they had you guys doing that.
There was no such at that point. There was no such thing as a floor exercise, Matt. It's not even like the high school was cheap to get one. They didn't exist, at least not for us. So doing your free exercise routine on gym floors, that's just what you did. I mean, what's crazy is I have that piece of tape. That is, a buddy of mine growing up, his father was one of those guys with the 8mm movie camera. He was there to shoot his son, and he liked me. His son was a couple of years younger than me. But he shot a full minute of, I think my routine was probably 1:20. He shot a full minute. And that's like, those little movie canisters were only 3 minutes, and then you got to take it out and rewind it. I mean, that's one of my prized possessions. I just can't believe it. Of course, I hate the fact that I can't even hardly walk across the gym floor anymore, but it's a fun thing to watch,
Maybe you were just a much better gymnast than his son, and he's like, you know what, I'll tape over my son. Jackie's much better. No, that I was so impressed with that, because I remember for gymnastics, we always had to roll out the big mat.
I will tell you, his son, Walter Compat, I think he was 3 years younger than me, and he ended up being the absolute star of the gymnastics team long after I graduated. Walter's still a really good friend. He lives out on Long Island, and all those guys. That was a very tight-knit. We were the first gymnasium team at Oyster Bay High School. That was just when gymnastics was just sport. I placed third in Nassau County on floor exercise, but I wasn't any good. The guy that won was huge, and the next guy was 1/3 as good as him, and I was 1/3 as guy. But there wasn't anybody else. I mean, there were other guys, but I just was enough to rise above the pop. But I certainly wasn't bound for the Olympics. I was bound for the locker room.
That's so cool, though. That's like, I'm just like, my knees are hurting just watching that footage, but it's so cool that you have it. And I wish, like, I know my parents took some like camcorder footage, but I think when they moved to Florida, they just like threw everything in a giant dumpster. Like they just were like, fuck it. Cause I can't find any of that stuff.
Right. And if it was mine, I probably wouldn't. His father, his sister was in my class. So I have footage of me and my buddy walking down the aisle at our 8th grade graduation, and the two of 4'10". I'll send you the picture. It's just frightening. And we're walking down the aisle, and his sister was a full head taller than me, and she's right behind us. It's just precious stuff,
That's really great. Were the first comedy clubs that you started to perform at, were they out on Long Island or were they in New York City?
No, there were no comedy clubs on Long Island. There was Catch a Rising Star and Comic Strip, but there was one place in Long Island showcase called Richard M. Dixon's White House Inn, and that's where I went. And I met Michi Minervini, and I went to Dixon's with him, Dixon's White House Inn, where I met Eddie Murphy and Rob Bartlett and Bob Wilson and Dave Hawthorne and Bob Woods. And we worked there, but the guy wouldn't pay us. Bullshit. So we went to a place called Cinnamon that was a restaurant in Huntington. And let us do comedy, and you keep the drink, and we'll charge at the door, and we'll keep the money we collect at the door. And that show went for like 15 years. And that show blossomed into a club called the East Side Comedy Club, which was the first full-time comedy venue on Long Island. And that started, I think, in the middle of 1980. And then, you know, a year later, Governors opened, created Governors. You know, they hired me, and Nancy went over and said, put the stage here and put the speakers there. And, you know, and I also was booking the Brokerage Comedy Club. But at the time, I was still doing bars, you know, my amplifier and speakers. And the people would come out from New York because I'd pay them in New York at the comic strip. They were making $5 for the set. If they came out to Long Island, I gave them $50. They got drunk, they got stoned, they got to chase men or whatever they wanted. And it was a field day. The guy I do my podcast with, Peter Bales, we've been friends for 45 years. And he started out at the comic strip, which are Seinfeld and Paul Reiser and Carol Leifer and Dennis Wolfberg and Larry Miller and all those characters. And they were all friends. But I worked on Long Island because I was making money as a producer. And then I wound up leapfrogging over the whole deal and becoming a radio star, which all happenstance. You know, these guys are toiling away night after night after night, you know, at Catch a Rising Star. The names I named, you know, because they rose to famous. But there were countless people that did sets night after night after night. They're probably still there, you know. So it's a real interesting, you know, I don't have to tell you, the whole thing is so interesting. It's not interesting.
It is fascinating because you can plug away and then you can get fame or notoriety from something totally unrelated to comedy, like a podcast or radio. And then you look at guys like Opie and Anthony, and like Anthony Cumia was never even into comedy. He just met Opie and they had great banter. And now Anthony Cumia is doing legitimate stand-up. So you never know what can happen. Jackie, I have one more question.
You know,
oh, sorry, what were you saying?
Whatever gets them in the tent. You know, if you talk and they laugh, it's working.
Yeah, definitely. Can you remember anybody else whose jokes you maybe helped punch up other than Rodney and you know, of course, like Howard, but can you remember any other comics or personalities who you helped punch up their jokes?
I had a bunch of jokes. They're in a book that of all the jokes that Rodney didn't use, and Dennis Wolfberg used a couple. That was that. I wrote Phyllis Diller for 2 minutes. I don't know who she is, but I have a check from Phyllis Diller for $4 for 4 A jokes and 1 B joke. And when I got the check, I wrote her back, said, there must be a mistake. This check is $4. She said, no mistake. I said, are you a whore? And then I wrote for Rip Taylor for a while. And he was just, I don't know, do you know, he was just out of his mind. Just this flaming homosexual, funny, wonderful, exuberant, great character. And we laughed. I used to meet with him at Bloomingdale's perfume counter.
It's pretty gay.
Like 3rd Avenue and 57th or something like that. You know, I'd walk in there and he'd be sitting at the perfume counter like talking and carrying on. Oh God, he was just the greatest. He was a wonderful soul. You know, at one point great. I wrote some jokes for a rodeo cowboy. You know, and I sold jokes, dial a joke. I sold dial jokes to Rick Dees. Rick Dees was the Morning Drive guy in LA, the guy that named me the Joke Man.
Oh, and, right.
And he did special dial just for him, you know, and that was, so cool. And that really helped. You know, all roads led to Rome, you know.
That's really cool. I have, this is not a super chat, but this is an interesting question from the chat here. Are you concerned about the future of joke writing with AI becoming more popular?
You know, there are no new jokes. Like, it's so funny because I love when people say, "Oh, that's an old joke," because there's no such thing as an old joke. A joke is a dad joke. That's an old joke. That's a stupid joke. A joke, if you haven't heard it before, it's a new joke. If you have heard it before, it's an old joke. And that applies to every single joke for every single person. And the amount of people that say, "Oh, that's an old joke because I heard it 3 weeks ago." And meanwhile, you tell them a joke that I know is from 1940 and they fall over. And meanwhile, it's been around for hundreds of years. I mean, there's very little new under the sun. So I doubt that AI is going to come up with anything. They're not going to resplit the atom because it's been split so many different ways. Now is it going to screw things up as far as coming up with premises. And, you know, I don't know if you fooled around with it. I said, okay, write a script of Mel Brooks and Carl Reiner performing Who's On First by Abbott and Costello. And it prints it right out. And it's Who's On First, only with Yiddish words thrown in. And it's just amazing. And I wrote in a couple characters. There's a guy and a girl. No, there's 3 brothers and their sister, and they in a movie studio, and they're arguing about what kind of movies to make, and it just prints out. It's out a goddamn scene because, truth be told, somebody writes a script, and then the AI, who the hell's going to be able to tell between? So the trouble is, I don't think there's any way to put a cap on the bottle. You know, I think they got to learn to live with it and live around, sprung on the world. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
the whole thing kind of scary.
It is a little scary. I haven't messed with any kind of AI before.
It's fair. Not only that, this is the tip of the iceberg. It's going to be able to, you know, this and fire. You know, who knows? We don't even know. We don't know what we don't know. You know, but I'll still be, you know, telling my dick jokes at Uncle Vinny's. You know, even if AI is running the universe, I'll be out there. You know, I'll be out there doing stupid jokes. I don't have any gigs to play. I'm going to be at Giggles and Giggles in Secaucus, not Secaucus, north of Boston.
Okay.
And I'm working with Lenny. No, north of Boston. I'm with Lenny Clark, who's an old friend for 40 years. He's the kid of Boston, and Chrissie Mayr and Steve Sweeney, and they're all Boston legends. And the fact that they asked me to be on the show with them it makes every August I go up there and do 3 or 4 days, and it's just great fun. So looking forward to that. That's July 27, 28, 29. That's exciting.
Oh, okay.
That's exciting.
That's exciting. I'm so excited for your documentary to come out. It's coming out not this Tuesday, but the following Tuesday after that, Tuesday, July 18th. Go to jokemanmovie.com for details. Follow Jackie. Yeah, it's coming out July 18th on most platforms. This is a wonderful, hilarious documentary. And I just want the whole world to know about you, Jackie, and you're just a legend. I can't say enough good things. I feel like such a simp, but follow Jackie on Twitter. You can always call 516-922-WINE for a joke.
It freaks people out that that's still going. It freaks people out. You know, do you know who Cuban is? We had Cuban on the show in like 1988. Cuban, the producer, like who did like the Earth things, and he's produced everybody. You know, McCartney, and you know, you name him. And he's from Long Beach on the South Shore. And the first time he sat down on the show, he looked at me and said, "Jackie, I called 922-WINE before I went to high school every day."
Wow.
And now he's a food chain gazillionaire, you know. I touch all these people. I touch them all as they go flying by, you know.
Jackie, you're the best.
Fun.
You're so funny. Everybody follow Jackie on Twitter. Email him at jokeland@aol.com and definitely check out his documentary, which comes out on July 18th. Jackie, thank you so much for your time. Hopefully I'll see you again in person real soon, and I will try not to puke in your vicinity.
Well, I mean, I think it's my turn to puke.
Yeah, just stay away from Mexico. Thank you, everybody
All
in
right,
the chat.
well, Chrissie, thank you very much.
Thanks for your time, Jackie. We'll talk to you soon, and have a good day, everybody. Bye.